Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel, the Spy Guy channel, where we do once every 2 weeks we get to panel together to talk about our favorite genre movie directors and actors, and talk about them in a way that normally talk about the movies you may not know about or have never seen, and get you to be excited for these movies just like we love them. And today I'm joined by my usual my regular co-host, the Orc, and
What
our
up?
returning guest star, Comic Book Bob.
Woohoo! Yeah,
Returning guest star?
I love how you were like, well, you stopped before you said my usual two co-hosts. You're like, oh wait, well Bob's like here half the time. So
Yeah, Bob, you showed up a week late. We do this on a bi-weekly process. You showed up 3 weeks later for the next show.
I showed up a week late, and then I showed up a week early.
Yeah.
But it's all fun, man. Thanks for letting me hang out, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Dude, I love this. It's just talking movies, which some people, I mean, the subject of today's discussion, I think most people will probably heard the movies we're going to pick. I mean, we don't plan this out beforehand, folks. We don't, compare notes or any of that. We come in completely blind as to what everybody else has picked.
Mm-hmm.
But Dave, sorry, I'm taking over here.
Yeah, no problem. No,
it's your channel, mate. It's your channel. Just tell the audience.
We always get together and we choose at the usual end of every episode we choose a target for the next 2 weeks. In 2 weeks' time, we do some research on the movies we love and we put together the list. And this 2 weeks ago, at Comic Book Bob's suggestion, we decided to do the top 5 movies of Richard Donner's that are not Superman. Honor the director's late passing. And we were just before the show talking about how he hasn't as much film credits as we thought he had, and that's because of some blackballing that happened to him during the years after Superman. So want to talk about that a bit, Bob?
Yeah, so everybody knows that Donner had a lot of headbutting he did with the studio during the filming of Superman 2, and during the film of Superman, so much so that a lot of the footage from Superman 2 actually was filmed during Superman 1. And that's why they also came out with Superman, the Donner cut. The Superman's, I think Superman and Superman 2, they both came out with the director's cut.
I have to be honest, I haven't actually managed to get hold of them yet.
It's kind of like any other director's cut. There's a lot of scenes you're like, okay, but it's it doesn't really change the story that much, but it does add, like, there are some significant scenes, kind of like the Snyder cut thing.
Yeah.
And that also kind of kickstarted the whole director's cut thing. That kind of spiraled out into all the other stuff like that, and I think the Blade Runner director's cut.
Yeah.
Or what really kind of starts spinning out these director's cut versions of movies and things like that.
Yeah,
but
no matter how much they ask, the Ayer cut is not going to make Suicide Squad any better.
No, it's not. But yeah, Donner kind of got a little bit of a bad rap from that, and I think then a lot of people say that kind of reduced his opportunities. Now he still had a lot of friends, so they gave him work, but we didn't see anywhere near, like, for a director of his stature, we didn't really see a whole lot of as big a body of work after that, as we did see from other directors. But he still did some pretty significant films.
Yeah. I think one of the list, I'm sure someone will have at least one of the movies in his other significant franchise in their list. And I think after the first of that movies, he gets to they allow him to come back a bit.
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think Lethal Weapon really kind of kickstarted him getting back into it.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say kickstart as much as rebooted his career.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But definitely, I'm sure one of us has got at least one of those movies on our list.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Like I say, normally, folks, a lot of our picks are, like I say, we don't plan this. We don't compare notes. We have had some eclectic choices going with the same actor before. But I think this one, I mean, this is not, Steven Seagal, where we all just pick Under Siege, Mark for Death, Nico, Out for Justice, and Hard to Kill.
Mm-hmm.
That was what we would all 5 pick as Steven Seagal's top 5 films.
Yeah.
So this one, but I think this one it depends. They might be in different orders, but I think we might have some duplicates here.
And I just want to thank Matthew Coburn for joining us in the chat.
Yo, Matthew! What's he say? Lethal Weapon, Goonies, Scrooged, Maverick.
Mm-hmm.
That's 4, dude. We do a top 5.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not hating on you per se, but come on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Mm-hmm.
Now I do have an honorable mention though that I'm going to throw in.
I've got a couple of honorable mentions
Mm-hmm.
to throw in as well.
Okay. So who wants to start us off today?
Bob, you actually showed up. You can go first.
Sure, I'll go ahead and start it off. So, like I said, I'm gonna do my my honorable mention first,
Okay.
and then I'll put in my my first pick. And as usual, my picks aren't generally in order of best to worst, except for the last one. Last one's like it's like my favorite movie he's ever done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But my honorable mention is Conspiracy Theory, which is again, as we have seen from a lot of directors, he has a particular he has his favorite people to work with,
Right.
and obviously one of his favorite people to work with is Mel Gibson.
Just slightly.
Yeah, just slightly. He's only done 5 movies with the guy.
Yeah.
Was it only 5? I thought it was more than that.
I'm pretty sure it's all the Lethal Weapon movies, and then
Conspiracy
Conspiracy Theory, and I think that's it.
Yeah. Sorry, no, I'm getting confused. Yeah,
Nope.
yeah,
There's
no, it
one
wasn't.
more I can think of, and it's on my list.
Which one am I missing? We'll go. Well, if it's on your list, we'll go through it.
Yeah, we'll find out about it.
But
Oh yeah.
for everybody who doesn't know, basically Mel Gibson is this taxi driver who's a conspiracy theory nut, and he has this crazy infatuation with I think an FBI agent named Alice, played by Julia Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
And you find out that his obsession with her, it starts off, it's really creepy. Like his obsession
He is
with
the
her.
ultimate stalker.
Yeah, it's really creepy. But you find out that
Pre-iPhone
there's
era,
actually a
by the way.
reason why.
Pre-Twitter, pre-Instagram,
Yeah.
he is that sort of stalker.
Yeah,
He
he's
doesn't
like
just look at her feed.
Yeah, he's a taxi driver, like I said, and he literally parks his car across the street from her apartment and just watches her for hours. But you find out that there's a reason for this.
Mhm.
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
Julia
pretty
Roberts.
cool.
She's fit.
Well, yeah, this was back when she was.
I mean, not being funny. He parks up outside her apartment for hours on end and buys 2 boxes of Kleenex.
yeah, but
Go figure.
also stars Patrick Stewart as in one of his rare turns as a villain. Really good villain. Really good villain.
Oh, he was a better villain than Gunman.
Yeah.
He was a really he was a really good villain in Gunman. He was a pretty cool villain in this one, but the best 2 movies that he was a villain in was Gunman and what was the last movie that Anton Yelchin did? The Green Room.
Green Room.
Was it Green Room? He was he was a really good villain in that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that though. I heard that there's another one where he's like some like mastermind or something like that. I'm trying to remember. Anyways,
He's had a couple.
maybe when we do our Patrick Stewart list, we can talk about that.
Yeah. Come on, keep some powder dry, guys.
Hang on a second.
Nope.
No, Mum, I don't want no more Pop Tarts.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm
I'm
going
sorry.
to the gym. Yes, I want celery sticks.
That was my honorable mention. My first pick on the list is Scrooged.
Oh,
Scrooge, a really cool retelling of the Scrooge with the one and only Bill Murray. Dude, he's so good in this. This is also like one of my someone who actually kind of steals the show, in my personal opinion. In this movie is Bobcat Goldthwait.
Mm-hmm.
Like his character is just like the way his character just kind of loses his mind. through this whole thing, and then he's like stalking him through the office with the shotgun. It's awesome. But basically, for anybody who hasn't seen this, it is a Christmas movie. He basically plays the Scrooge character. He does not name Scrooge, but he plays the Scrooge character. He gets visited by the three ghosts of Christmas, all played by awesome comedic actors.
Yes.
Carol Kane is the ghost of Christmas Present. What was his name?
David Johansen.
David Johansen, who did
Past.
the Is It Me, Santa Claus? That guy.
Yeah.
He does the Ghost of Christmas Past. Carol Kane's the Ghost of Christmas Present. Robert Mitchum is his boss.
Yeah.
which
Oh,
was
Robert
super
Mitchum is awesome.
John Forsythe was like the Marley character.
Yes.
There was the guy that he idolized as a businessman, and he comes back and he's basically a zombie.
Yes.
And he's like shooting him. And he's like, I don't have a problem with you shooting me, man, but could you lay off the whiskey?
Yeah. Yes. Don't shoot the whiskey bottles. God,
Yeah.
just shoot me.
But it's got some really great scenes. I can't remember what's the actress who played his love interest, but it's so funny. And Alfre Woodard, was played his assistant.
Was it Karen Allen that played his love interest?
Possibly. I don't remember. I mean, there's like so many. There's so many guest appearances. Like Lee Majors makes a guest appearance
as Lee Majors.
Yeah. Because they're doing the whole reason why it's called Scrooge is he's the producer on a television rebroadcast of Scrooge.
Yeah.
And like you gotta have all these guests, like it's being narrated by John Houseman, Robert Goulet's in this thing, Buddy Hackett. I think Buddy Hackett is actually the guy playing Scrooge, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
Buddy Hackett's actually Scrooge.
Jamie Farr, who for people who don't know who that is, that's the guy who played Klinger.
Yeah.
It's just it's a movie within a movie is what it is basically.
Right.
And of course it's Bill friggin' Murray.
Yeah, Bill Murray at his prime.
Absolutely at his prime. One of the best Christmas movies ever made. But yeah, that's my number 5, man. And if you haven't seen it, go find it and watch it. It's hilarious.
I'll have to watch it. I haven't watched it since I was a kid, and I probably didn't really appreciate it the way
Dave, you need to check it out. Seriously, check it out.
There's so much subtle humor in that friggin' movie.
I mean, not be funny. It is a true product of its time. I mean, when was it released? It was released in
it was pre-90s. It was like
87. No, sorry, 88. 88, I think it was.
Was it 88? I was going to say 89.
Yeah,
That's
what we have on IMDb here.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So
it's such a good movie.
That's when you had the real classic subtle comedies as well. Everything wasn't a scary movie.
Yeah, everything wasn't sanitized.
No.
Yeah.
Or slapstick.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got your bit of slapstick, but you got your cerebral humor as well with, just dialogue can be funny, folks, believe it or not.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a bit of dialogue followed by somebody getting hit in the face with a wet kipper.
Yeah, like I said, there's like the whole scene where Bobcat Goldthwait is literally trying to murder him.
Yeah,
in this building. It's dark, man, because he basically ruined his life.
Right.
But you're laughing because it's just the reaction to everything that's going on is insane. But it's a great movie, man.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right, who's next?
Why don't you go up there, Kevin?
Okay. My number 5 pick, and by the way, folks, like I said many times, we don't plan this in advance. We don't compare notes.
Mm-hmm.
My number 5 is Scrooged.
There you go, man.
Didn't we do this last week on the number? 2 weeks ago on the number 1 with Bat 21.
I think
Bat 2-1.
Yeah,
but no, Scrooge. I hate Christmas movies.
Yeah,
I absolutely loathe them. Somebody puts on Muppets Christmas Carol. I'm getting out the battle axe, smashing up the DVD player, the fucking TV, their furniture, and the person who put that piece of shit on.
That's one of the only Christmas movies I actually like.
Well, I do have a soft spot for the classic White Christmas, Bing Cog's Bob Hope.
Yeah,
not Bobo. Bing
the only
Crosby.
thing, that's something we got to do around Christmas time is like
Yeah, we'll do a top five
the
Christmas
best
movies.
top 5
that are-
Christmas movies that aren't like
Mhm.
was it It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh yeah. But this Christmas movie, I can actually enjoy because it's not all about Christmas.
yeah,
There is so much humor. There is so much more going on. It's not just it's Christmas time.
yeah.
Pissing
It's
people off and wine.
the scene where the producers argue with him about the solid gold dancers showing nipple.
Yeah. Oh Jesus.
It's so freaking hilarious. She's like, I can see your nipples. He goes, I want to see your nipples.
Yeah, that's the whole point, dude. And Dave, you've got to watch it again. You've got to watch this again.
He's such a sleazeball in this movie. It's awesome.
But this, like I say, I can't stand Christmas movies. But this Christmas movie, because I can't stand Christmas, I don't care about Christmas. My favorite Christmas pastime is 2 bottles of vodka, turning the phone off,
Only 2?
and maybe a bit of fluffy. But that's for a different show.
What you and Jeff do on Christmas is no one business but yours.
Hey. Jeff is Jeff. Fluffy is Fluffy. If you don't watch the show, you don't get the joke.
Okay.
And I've never seen you in a bloody chat for it, so Jesus.
Oh no, I only show up there when it's over, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, guys. Like I said, this is going to be, considering the quality of people that Richard Donner works with, man. I can't actually think of any movie he's made that's bad. I mean, there some are better, some are worse, but I like, he's one of those guys that hasn't made a terrible movie.
Yeah, I mean, I've been looking through, and yeah, movie wise, you kind of think to yourself, eh. I mean, there's one which I would kind of.
Number one is a Timeline. Then
What's that?
I take it. No, you're a big fan of Timeline. Then
Timeline was not a terrible movie.
I actually preferred the book by Michael Crichton. I've got the book. I own the book.
That was one of those movies where it's like you can tell he's just kind of going by the numbers.
Yeah.
It's kind of a throwaway film, but it's not a terrible movie. I mean, it's got kind of a dumb premise, but and time travel movies are always problematic like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's enough interesting stuff in that movie for me to go, okay, I'm not mad that I watched this movie, but it's not going to make any kind of top 10 list.
No, I'm not going to storm up and ask for a refund from the theatre clerk, but I'm just not going to pick it up unless
it's not 1 hour photo, you know.
No.
Yeah.
So.
But okay.
I guess that goes for me. My number 5 is a movie that I'm sure will be much higher on other people's list, but it's not because I'm not a horror guy. I'm choosing my number 5 is The Omen.
Yes.
Which is really like the was it The Exorcist came out before it or not? But it does seem like one of those movies that came out right at that time and really redefined horror movies away from the Hammer formula or just screwball comedy formula. And you got one of these more intense
psychological, I call them,
thrillers where you're not really too sure what's going on right up until the end of the movie.
Yeah, Exorcist was Exorcist I think was 73, and I think Omen was like 75, 76. So Exorcist did come out before The Omen, but they're all like The Omen, Rosemary's Baby, Exorcist. They're all part of that. What kind of led into that whole satanic panic thing.
Yeah.
Well, that and D&D. Does anybody remember the Tom Hanks movie?
D&D was the thing that they latched onto.
Yeah,
was the thing they latched onto after that really started pushing the whole satanic panic. But this was like,
what was the Tom Hanks movie? It wasn't Dungeons and Dragons. It was
Mazes and Monsters.
Mazes and Monsters. That's it. Yeah. Yes.
But but this kicked off a period of movies where it was basically the bad guy winning.
Yeah,
you know, it was the devil. It was the devil winning in these movies. So, but it is on my list. Like you said, I am a big horror guy. And again,
the scene that defines the movie, and it is a bit of a spoiler for people, but if you haven't seen this movie, why are you here? The whole situation where the nanny comes out and basically pledges herself to Damien, and the stuff that happens afterwards. It's just like that. It's like,
Yeah.
what the hell are you guys doing in this movie?
Yeah, and this is also one of the first. This kind of kicked off the whole evil child film thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it started with movies like The Bad Seed,
Mm.
and there's another one I can't remember, but this was the first one where it really started off with like basically the demon child.
Rosemary's Baby, wasn't it? Was one of them.
Well, Rosemary's Baby was the I can't remember if Rosemary's Baby was first, or let me look it up, Sarah.
Where she has the baby and he's like 15 pounds already, and at the age of 3 months he smothers the nurse or something.
Yeah, Rosemary's Baby predates them all. It was 1968.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, in that there's like a 5 or 6 year period where all these movies came out with basically the evil child.
Yeah,
and it kind of pushed that whole thing forward.
And then you had Macaulay Culkin's Good Son. Was that late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah, years later.
Yeah.
But again, with Richard Donner, with certain people that he likes working with, Robert Peck. I think he did another movie. He worked with him a lot on television. Lee Remick as well. And this was actually, if you look at the cast of this, it's a lot of television people. You know, Lee Remick, Patrick Thornton, who played the priest, and one of the coolest death scenes. One of the coolest death scenes in a horror film back. I mean, by today's standard, it's very tame, but at the time in the theater, it was like, holy crap.
Yeah. And sorry, just want to point out very quickly. Will says, "What about Village of the Damned?"
True. Yeah, like I said, there were a few.
But wasn't that based on the Josh Wyndham book?
Yep.
The Midwich Cuckoos, which
the Midwich Cuckoos, which also, by the way, was the inspiration for the Cuckoo Sisters in Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
But that was more of an alien thing.
Yeah.
Because they were basically alien children. They weren't like demon babies or anything. Now they were evil children. And like I said, there was some precursors to this. Like I said, we talked about the Bad Seed and everything like that. But it was that period, that 5 or 6 year period, where the bad guys win, and like the devil wins. It was the whole thing that, like I said, it led into like the Satanic Panic and all that stuff like that. But so they had this time period, and actually, that was actually a big deal with oh God, what's his name? The guy who wrote The Exorcist.
Oh Christ, I can't remember the bloody name now.
But he had an issue. William Peter Blatty. He had an issue with the film version, the ending of the film version, because he wasn't comfortable with them putting out that basically the devil won. You know, so it was a period in Hollywood where it was like basically having the bad guy win.
Yeah.
So
subverting expectations.
A little bit.
It's been done before, Hollywood. You're not original now in 2021.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
Omen was a great film, man. That was like that scene you're talking about with the nanny. It's like, it's all for you, Damien.
Yeah,
and then she just jumps off the roof and so
and again, Damien just stands there looking.
Yeah,
he's just like.
Yeah, and again, something that we all like today would be very tame, but at the time it was like it just didn't happen.
You didn't see this shit. I mean, come on, back in the day, things like Driller Killer were banned as video nasties and shit. And you watch them nowadays and you think, this wouldn't even be rated 15 nowadays, you know?
Yeah.
In the UK, I mean, what is it you have in the US?
PG-13.
Yeah, PG-13 and stuff. And you think, that's blatantly a ketchup bottle they've just drilled into and shit like that. But back in the day, it was like the video nasties.
Yep.
So,
good movie.
Yeah, great.
So, you guys will talk about it when it comes up on your list. So,
well, it's coming back to me. It's funny you said that because I've got The Omen on my list. Like I said, I'm a big horror guy. And that period, like I said, that period's an interesting period when you look at it, because, like I said, there's this different perspective where good doesn't always triumph over evil, and sometimes evil wins. William Peter Blatty, that's what I said. Did I say William Peter Blatty for The Exorcist?
You might have said it a little too fast.
Okay.
Sound to someone like
but yeah, like I said, I'm a big Robert Mitchum fan. You know, I'm not Robert Mitchum, but Gregory Peck. Like I was raised on classic films.
Robert Mitchum's number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, Mitchum was in the second film. That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like To Kill a Mockingbird, Spellbound, Boys from Brazil is one of my favorite movies of all time. If you guys haven't ever seen that, it's basically goes along with the conspiracy theory with the Nazi hunter who goes into Brazil, where a bunch of the Nazis basically went into hiding
with all the Nazi gold.
Yeah, but and like I said, for it back in its day, The Omen was a genuinely creepy film, and I'm a big fan of. I'm not a big fan as far as the horror movies that I like. I like slasher films and stuff like that. Fine. I'm not a big fan of torture porn.
No,
and
that's what the Saws turned into. We can't stand the Saws now.
I believe like a truly scary movie is not something. It's not jump scares. I mean, jump scares are fine, but if that's all you're relying on, that's not really scary.
It's something that gets in your head.
Right. It's something. Right. It's like an earwig. It's something that gets into your brain, and then days later, completely unbidden, comes back to you.
Yeah.
You know. So it's atmosphere,
and then you go to bed that night and you leave the lights on because oh fuck, I remember this.
Like you're playing a scary video game and you're in the dark and everything, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna pause this. I'm gonna go turn all the lights on.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
And this movie has a lot of atmosphere in it. So and like I said, compared to most films today, it would still be considered tame, but I think it's shot really well. I
was perfectly shot with the camera because they didn't use generic camera angles for a lot of it. You know, they kind of filmed them from a slightly lower angle or a slightly higher angle, so it gave you the feeling that you were watching it from somebody else's viewpoint almost. Yeah,
and it has a really, really cool scene. The whole scene with Damien riding his tricycle.
Yep.
The big one, and him riding that through the house.
Yeah, and one other thing I'm going to want to mention. Its score is great.
Yes.
It really sets everything you're talking about music, and it won the Oscar for Best Musical.
Yeah, and that's another thing. This movie, the soundtrack is really integral to the feeling that it gives you through the movie.
It creates the atmosphere.
Right. It's very. There are a lot of really like when something major happens, there's these big crescendos through the soundtrack. So yeah, good call. It's got a great soundtrack
by Jerry Goldsmith, who's gone on to do so many great scores, including the Star Trek motion picture sound and on to the Next Generation.
There's an idea for a show. The best scores, best scores that aren't
John Williams.
John Williams. Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure. Me and Dave were kind of throwing around an idea on the private chat. Was it last week or something about the next one?
Yeah, we'll get to that at the end. But yeah, definitely, that's a great thing. We have lots of ideas for episodes.
There's just a few more bloody actors and directors. and composers that we can go through.
Yeah,
just a few more.
But there you go. Omen is on mine as well. It is my. I've got it at number 4. So.
Now it's my turn, and Bob.
Yep.
With all due respect, have you been peeking through my fucking window again?
Possibly.
All right, you're right. Yeah, I know you want the York Wang, but for God's sake, just focus on the Wang and not on my bloody list, because I have the Omen as number fucking 4 as well. Jesus Christ!
On the same wavelength.
There you go. It's a good movie.
It's a fucking great movie. I mean, they did milk it a bit too much, in my opinion. But let's be honest, Hollywood always does that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and it's like I said, for its day, it had some really groundbreaking stuff. The soundtrack was great. Like I said, that happens a lot. Again, in films today, you see it a lot. But that scene where he's riding through the house like that on the tricycle, and then the camera's following him, you didn't have shots like that back then.
No, God, no. And this is the whole point we're trying to make here about this movie, especially for anybody who's of a younger ilk, shall we say?
Youngins.
Who, yeah, you youngins. You know, be careful, all younglings, because you know Anakin's coming for you. But films don't have to be scary because there's lots of blood, guts, and mutilation. They are supposed to set a tone, set an atmosphere, suck you in so you feel like you're stuck in that atmosphere.
Yeah. They're supposed to touch something primal in you.
Yeah. And fire off synaptic nerves which you haven't ever felt used in your life, but are inbuilt survival instinct traits almost.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to touch those buttons and make you really feel something, not just, oh my God, I feel sick because he just dismembered that guy and then used his own hand to rip his guts out or whatever.
Yeah, it triggers that lizard part of your brain.
Yeah. Wait, you're saying something about green people?
Yeah. That's your primal.
Yeah, I'll show you. Next time, don't look at the notebook. Look at the rest of my primal.
But yeah, man, it doesn't surprise me that there's going to be a lot of these films. I think they're going to be double and triple on our lists.
Yeah.
But Omen's a great film. And like I said, anybody who watches this later or anybody who's watching it right now, you got to go check it out.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, watch it. If you haven't seen it in 25 years, just watch it with the lights out. It will creep you out a lot more than you think it will from your memories of yesteryear. It really does get to you.
Yeah.
David.
Okay, so my number 4 is going to be a little bit different than I think other people's thoughts. My number 4 is Richard Donner's last movie, and I'm not counting because the Donner count does not count, even though it technically came out later. My last, and I think it's one of also Bruce Willis's last great movies before he kind of just started phoning it in, and that's 15 Blocks.
All right.
The cop movie.
Yeah.
So there's a time in my life where I was basically going out once a week to just watch any movie, just kind of get out of the house kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And I went into this movie not expecting a lot, but I had a great time watching it. It is just kind of like, what's his name here? Yaslin Bey is like a low-rank criminal that's seen too much.
BRB.
And he's got a bunch of people coming, a corrupt squad of cops are coming to him. And it turns out Bruce Willis used to be a member of that squad, and he's basically run down drunk in the bar. Mm-hmm. And he's got to get this guy 16 blocks on this wild, crazy journey across New York in order to get this guy in front of the court. And everyone thinks everything's out to get him, and it's just this Barry Morse, I think, is also the other one that really, or sorry, not Barry.
Yeah, he plays the corrupt cop, right?
David Morse, sorry.
David Morse, the guy from Green Mile.
Yeah.
What other movie was he in?
He started out on Saint Elsewhere as a young, as one of the doctors there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just he's just one of those more of TV / film actor, and the two of them have that kind of cat and mouse, and you get this feeling that both he and Bruce Willis have this great relationship, and it's more of a character study and action, some action, but just the fact that it's just like, on one hand, you don't think 16 blocks is a big distance, and then until someone's trying to kill you, and it's just a great film of a movie.
Yeah, he was also in the movie The Negotiator.
Yeah.
With Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Spacey.
Yep.
He was the guy that was kind of his nemesis, but at the same time he was one of the good guys. Mm-hmm. He was he played them. He was one of the senators in the movie Contact.
Yep. Oh, well, I
haven't seen Contact for years.
No. He was her dad. He was her dad. Yeah, but he's one of those guys. David Morse is one of those guys that's been in like everything and its mother.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What was it? Oh, God, why am I? Gina Davis, Samuel L. Jackson, Long Kiss Goodnight.
Yeah, Long Kiss Goodnight. Yeah. She's the guy that she thought was a good guy.
Yeah,
but ended up being one of the bad guys, and then she was
just
the waterboarding torture stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Which is a fantastic movie, by the way, folks. If you've not seen that is Gina Davis, Samuel L. Jackson. That is an awesome action movie.
Yeah,
Will Morris, Yassine. That he's everyone knows him as Most Def.
there
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
And
Don't
David Morse
mention the
also with
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
also another Bruce Willis movie, 12 Monkeys.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
12 great movie, dude.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so just a very interesting genre action movie. Cops, not the hugest stakes in the world, but a kind of throwback to those movies we were talking about in the last episode, where you got these kind of low stakes, and you don't need to worry about everyone the world dying from it. But it's important for this guy to get to where he's going, and there's all he's got is one washed up cop trying to protect him on his way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be honest, I haven't seen 16 Blocks in a while. I think that was one of those ones which I had no real interest in watching, but it was kind of, it's Bruce Willis, so, give it a crack.
I watched it. It was all right. I mean, I wouldn't put it on my top 5 list for this, but it was, again, it's one of those movies like, I don't think it was his best, one of his best, but it wasn't a terrible movie either.
Yeah.
Well, let's be honest, he hasn't really had many terrible... He
hasn't had any... Yeah, I wouldn't say he had any terrible movies. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a couple of honourable mentions before we get to my number one, but I'll bring them up before I do my number one.
Maybe I'll mention one of my honourable mentions that I really would when we get a chance. So now that was my number 4.
Okay, my number 3, and I don't know, this is a movie that's usually very polarizing. People either really like it or they really hate it. I'm a huge fan of the people who are the stars in this, but my number 3 is Lady Hawk. So I'm saying,
I was wondering if someone would put it on the list.
It's a very polarizing film. It's one of those films where like there are elements of this thing that I wish they had done differently, like the soundtrack. The soundtrack
was abysmal.
The soundtrack was terrible.
It did not fit the movie at all.
This was during that time period where studios had this thing with this idea of putting modern music into fantasy films. Because you had films like Legend, where the original soundtrack was like it was a more traditional fantasy style soundtrack, and they're like, nah, we want to put some new age crap in this, and that kind of so if you ever go watch the movie Legend, get the director's cut, because it's much better because they put the original soundtrack back.
No, it's kind of akin to doing Lord of the Rings, and as the epic final charge at the gates of Mordor happens,
it's like a metal soundtrack.
Nicki Minaj blaring out. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, no, this does not work at all.
Yeah, but just to give you an idea of the cast of this movie, you got Matthew Broderick as the main character, Rutger freaking Hauer, who I love me some Rutger.
Oh, love me some Rutger.
And that's
Rutger
why
Hauer.
Our first episode was on Rutger Hauer. So
yes. Go back and check it out on this channel.
Back then.
Yeah. But Rutger Hauer,
that was so hard doing a top 5 for that one.
Oh yeah, man.
Oh.
But Rutger Hauer, Michelle Pfeiffer, who was never hotter than she was in this movie. Leo McKern, another one of those guys that's been in. If you see him, you know him. He's been in everything. John Wood as the main villain. Alfred Molina, a young Alfred Molina,
very young Alfred Molina,
as the bishop's right hand guy. And there's some really cool like fantasy elements in this movie. There's some really cool fight scenes. Unfortunately, like we were saying, the soundtrack if you're able to turn that part of your brain off, you'll enjoy the movie a lot better.
The soundtrack for me just took me straight out of the movie.
Yeah, there were moments where it's like, damn. Now, supposedly there is a version of the movie that does have a more traditional soundtrack. Someone said that it was fan made though, so I've never been able to find it. But this is a movie that I think would really do well with like a director's cut where they go in and they change the soundtrack, because I do know that the director
bit late now.
Obviously,
Bit late now.
didn't want he's not, the soundtrack was not his choice. Let's just put it that way. But this is a guilty pleasure for me. This is a guilty pleasure movie for me because it's one of the first films that I actually went to the theater to see by myself when I was a kid. I was 13 years old. So and it's back in that amazing period of time between 1984 and 1986 where all these amazing movies came out.
Yes.
So Lady Hawk is a guilty pleasure film for me, and like I said, it's a very polarizing film. You either love it or you hate it.
I remember watching it when it was like 1 in the morning on one of those our old city TV everywhere in Toronto.
Yeah,
stations.
Yeah,
movies going on all night.
Yeah, and this is actually one of the first films where I actually learned who the main character, the actors were. Rutger Hauer, loved Rutger Hauer in this. I went and saw, like, after this, I went and looked up Blade Runner. I looked up a bunch of a bunch of his old films and stuff like that.
Blood of Heroes, or in the UK, it's known as Salute of the Jugger.
Yep. And it was after this movie. Every movie that Rutger Hauer was in, I didn't care what it was. I went and saw it.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I think I had that effect. Rutger Hauer had that effect for me with actually Salute of the Jugger or Blood of Heroes.
Yeah.
Then it was like everything, Wanted Dead or Alive, Blind Fury, fucking.
And this was also a period of time in the 80s when Rutger Hauer was just doing one movie after the other. Because he did The Hitcher, which was another one of those movies that just completely changed the game.
Yeah.
Don't watch the remake, watch the original.
Yeah.
Hey, if everyone wants to know more about Rutger Hauer, go watch our first episode. It's
good plug, good plug.
Yeah. I mean, like, just in like a 5 or 6 year period, he did Nighthawks, he did Blade Runner, he did Lady Hawk, Flesh and Blood, which is another one of those polarizing films.
I didn't like Flesh and Blood.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, it bored me a lot of the time. In that movie.
The Hitcher, Wanted Dead or Alive, Blind Fury, and then Blood of Heroes was like kind of like tied that whole thing off. But yeah, man, Rutger Hauer was the man.
Oh, he was the ultimate.
But that's my number 3.
Yeah, you almost felt because I have a raging wang for Rutger Hauer. You almost felt like he was just taking any script that was given to him, but he made them all fucking work.
Yeah,
he just had this presence, this magnetism almost.
Yeah,
you could give him the schlockiest fucking script in the world,
and they sometimes did.
Yeah, and he made
it
work. I mean, for God's sake, Salute to the Jugger. Bunch of people fighting over a dog skull, putting it on a spike.
Yeah.
I can do something with this.
And I'm telling you what, man, that's probably one of the most underappreciated performances that guy ever did.
Oh, dude, that is probably that is in my top 10 of all time movies.
It was in your top 5, man, of all time. We did this episode.
no, that was top 5 Rutger Hauer. I'm on about it was in my top 10 movies.
Top 10 movies, period. I love that movie, man.
Yeah.
But there you go.
Man, I watch that every year.
My number 3 is Lady Hawk.
Okay.
Right. My number 3. Hey, you guys!
And this is gonna be another one that's I think there's gonna be a 3-star, man. This is gonna be one that all of us are gonna pick.
Yeah. Is, in case you didn't guess, is The Goonies.
Do the truffle
That was a really fucking bad impression, by the way. So I do apologize, and I apologize for swearing. That's my one F-bomb in this fucking show. But no, The Goonies is just you. It's your ultimate kids fantasy adventure film. Right, I mean, yes, you could say Flight of the Navigator, you're flying a spaceship, or whatever. You can go down different routes, but everybody is kids before what?
If you're
2000s?
If you're a child of the 80s, this movie was your anthem.
Oh yeah, you spent all your time outside playing. You didn't sit at home because you could if you had your late 80s, you'd say your Commodore 64 or something. You load up a computer game and you could fuck off outside and play for 3 hours, come back, and then you'd switch over the cassette tape to side B. Yeah. And then fuck off outside for another 2 hours while it was loaded.
I mean,
so you spent your whole childhood outside playing, fantasizing.
Yeah. Hanging out with your friends.
Back when you went outside and played.
Yeah, exactly. With your friends. You do everything. You do the pirates, you do
Cops and Robbers.
Cops and Robbers, the Star Wars thing, the army thing. You do all of this.
You knew where all your friends were because they had all their bikes piled up on the front lawn of someone's house.
Yeah, exactly.
That one friend whose house was like basically your home base. Like everybody was like, "Where we going? Oh, we're going to meet over at Dave's." But
because Dave's mum works nights or you know, his work
Yeah.
during the day or whatever, and it's the school
Or they have-
holidays. So
Dave's got the best snacks.
exactly.
But dude, and listen to this cast, man. A lot of these people are still working today, and some of them are
mate.
huge.
Mhm.
Sean Astin, and like, I mean, Rudy is one of the best movies of all time. Okay, Josh Brolin, who's one of the biggest actors in Hollywood right now. Corey Feldman, who everybody knows.
Mhm.
Martha Plimpton, who still has a career. Robert Davi. Joe Pantaleone is one of the coolest guys ever. He's one of those guys that's in everything. Anne Ramsey was one of the best comedic actors, of that generation. And it's an amazing film, man. And it's written by Steven Spielberg. Him and Christopher Columbus, I think, wrote it, right?
Columbus, I believe it was. Yeah.
Yeah, but Spielberg. I know Spielberg produced it, but I think he also had a hand in writing it. And it's like I said, if you were a child of the '80s, this was your anthem.
Damn right.
You know,
Yeah,
One-Eyed
with
Willie,
the
man.
And lot for the kids of the '90s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's just it's such a good movie, man.
And if you haven't seen it, by the way, let me get to the synopsis of this film very briefly.
Yeah.
Because we've just spent 5 minutes splurging over it. Little seaside town, people trying to take over, property moguls, all the rest of it. If I remember correctly, they want to turn it into more of a tourist place. And there's the legend of One-Eyed Willie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yes,
the main character.
This is when you could get away with saying there is the legend of One-Eye Willie without somebody going, "Oh my god!"
What
What are you talking about, Kev?
That's what she
what are you
said.
saying? There's something
Yeah,
about
exactly.
that particular thing that's
They're implying something in the third person vernacular by saying that. No, dude, that's whatever your fucked up thought is, mate.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
This is also where an entire generation of people fell in love with Sean Astin, man.
Yeah. Oh no, dude. Yes.
Yeah.
Group of kids, including Short Round, by the way.
Yes,
He was not stereotypically used at all.
That's what I said. Booty traps.
Yeah. Booty trap.
Booty traps. That's what I said. Booty trap. Why you always correct me?
Find a map to One-Eyed Willie's buried treasure, pirate treasure. So as all kids in the 80s and 90s, you hunted for pirate treasure, And this is what I love about this movie. It tied it all in. Then you had the evil gang, whose mama was just a complete. She was the shit.
Awesome, dude.
She'd fuck over Judge Dredd in a day.
Yeah,
in a New York minute, even.
Mama Fratelli, man. The Fratelli.
That's it. The Fratellis.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Throw Mama from the train.
Dude,
yes.
It had my favorite part was when they were like calling Chunk on all of his bullshit. He's like, just like this time you said that you met Michael Jackson, and he's like, no, that time you said that you ate your weight in Godfather's pizza. I was like, okay, so I didn't eat my weight in Godfather's pizza, and I didn't meet Michael Jackson, but I did a sister.
It's
that typical stuff that kids did, where they just embellish everything.
You mean when kids are actually kids?
The fat kid has all the treasure in his mouth, and it is like
spit it out. They're like,
and I tickle him, and he's
like a pearl.
And then he just spits out one. He's like, he spits out one last one, and she's just like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, really? How much?
Or the scene where he's like, "Tell us everything," and Chunk is like just like going through his life story, and the one,
like,
I love this
and then
kid.
it cuts away, and then it cuts back to like 10 minutes later. He's like,
still going.
Age 10, I made him. This is bad, and I'm so sorry for it.
And
like you said, they just look at each other, and go.
Robert Davies is like
this guy.
Yeah, Robert Davies like, I love this kid.
Yeah. Just going through all the shit he's done, the nasty shit he's done.
God, it's just this movie is like distilled childhood fun.
Yeah, and you've got the whole, like I say, the whole stereotypical thing. Everything from, the boys' club to the hot, slightly older girl that joins in. And everybody's like, all the way through to the party, to the very end of it. They find the spoilers, folks, for a fucking 40-year-old film.
Yeah.
They find the goddamn ship, the treasure, and the booby traps, and they find Willie.
Such a great set piece too, man.
Oh, mate! And this was before CGI.
Yeah,
they made that motherfucker.
Yeah,
trust me, they made that.
Such a great movie, man.
And it just encapsulates people of a certain generation's age, because everybody can relate to
a child.
Yeah, well, I'm millennials. I don't know, because they go, "Oh, I got better graphics on my PS2 or PS4." What's PS on? PlayStation 5 now, isn't it? If anybody's managed to get a hold of one. But yeah, it just encapsulates your childhood that you were growing up, and it just makes you feel like a kid again as well. And yes, there's a bit of violence in there. There's innuendo. There's threats, shall we say? Threats are implied and all the rest of it. But you have fun the whole way through.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to worry about it, because you knew it was a movie. It was a fun movie. It was an awesome movie.
Yeah.
It gets the Orc seal of approval.
Yeah, and like I said, it's one of those movies that it's in that golden period between 1984 and between 1983, 84 and 1988.
Yeah,
just one amazing movie after the other, and this one stands head and shoulders with all of them.
E.T. came out around, I can't remember. E.T. came out
82, I think, right?
82. I can't remember off the top of my head. And
82. I just checked it.
So it's like you say, it's all in the Goldilocks zone, shall we say?
Yeah. Great film though.
But yes, so that is my numero trois.
All right.
My number 3. Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who's going to have this movie on the list, and it is not. It is in a similar vein to the last movie, but it is not. It's also got some really dark stuff that happens in it. It is a movie called Radio Flyer.
Yep.
And that movie is it's a heavy. Looking back on it, because of my own personal stuff that happened to me with my stepfather, and just it is a powerful movie. It's about 2 kids whose mother remarries, and the youngest son is being abused by the stepfather. Yeah. But there's also this hope they're all around getting this kind of the escape of how you can get away from that kind of stuff, and still all the fun stuff you do as a kid, and just this movie is just grim stuff, but also happy stuff, and the fact that it leads to this truly amazing ending.
Yeah, and again, great cast in this thing. Lorraine Bracco, John Hurd, Adam Baldwin, I love that guy.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of Firefly or Serenity, the guy that plays Jane, Adam Baldwin.
Yeah, Baldwin. The best of the Baldwin brothers, as I like to call him.
And a pre-Lord of the Rings Elijah Wood.
Oh yeah.
But again, this wasn't on my top 5. It was close though. It was one of those I was kind of going back and forth between that and Scrooged. And Lady Hawk. So, but yeah, it's and like you said, this is more of a it's a toned down, but it's a very dramatic film, and it's a very touching film.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that you have to be in a kind of particular mood for. Kind of reminds me of a very young version of Stand By Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, that's a good comparison, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Matthew Coburn said he's not one of the Baldwin brothers. Yeah, we know. We were just making.
Yeah, that's why he's our favorite.
That's why he's our favorite.
Exactly.
Not actually one of the Baldwin brothers. Yeah.
The best of the Baldwin brothers.
He's also good in The Last Ship. If anyone hasn't had a chance to see that,
the first 2 seasons of that I really liked. Yeah, it kind of started going downhill in the 3rd season, but yeah, I really liked him in that. But he's another one of those guys that's in a lot of stuff. And yeah, Radio Flyer.
He's in Independence Day.
Yep. He's the guy that he's the president's bodyguard.
Yeah, the bodyguard. Yeah.
But his probably God, dude. Next to Jane, Best thing he ever did. Full Metal Jacket.
This is the song of Jane, the hero of.
Yeah, his character in Full Metal Jacket. Better you than me.
Yeah. Oh,
But yeah, great movie, man.
that is a solid fucking pick there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. I'll be honest with you, I haven't even given honourable mention because I think I watched it once. It's one of those ones which to me, you know, like you say, you've got to be in a kind of specific mindset to it.
Yeah.
I'm an orc.
Yeah.
I'm not generally in that kind of mindset.
Yeah, it's very different from his usual fare. Right. Like you said, it was a very family driven, like real life drama film.
Yeah.
But okay, so my number two, Lethal Weapon.
Aha!
Finally,
original Lethal Weapon. Richard Donner. I mean, one of the greatest action films of all time. Danny Glover. God dang it, my brain is taking a crap on me. Mel Gibson.
Really, you had trouble with Mel Gibson after we had this whole discussion about he's worked at least 5-6 times with Mel Gibson.
My skull does not want to work. There are times when my brain just takes a crap on me.
Well, that's your hat's too tight.
Yeah, but and again, this was another film. Great supporting cast. Gary Busey, the great Gary Busey, the lunatic Gary Busey,
as the villain.
Yeah,
Merry fucking Christmas.
Playing Mr. Joshua. This film between him and Mel Gibson, one of the best fight scenes ever in film. Mel Gibson using jiu-jitsu moves before jiu-jitsu was even a thing. Mitchell Ryan as the mastermind behind the whole thing. Another one of those actors where if you the name might not trigger you, but you see him, you're like, oh yeah, that guy. Tom Atkins is another one of those guys like that.
Yeah, he's fucking Tom Atkins is great.
Yeah, and this movie has created so many tropes.
Right.
You know, like the I'm too old for this shit.
It launched its own genre, basically.
Yeah, basically, like it reinvigorated the buddy cop film.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Yep.
Between this and this 48 Hours and why am my brain's crapping out now? Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah. And again, this movie released in that sweet spot. Because this was what was it? 1987.
Right.
So but synopsis of it, basically Mel Gibson plays a cop who's suffered a major tragedy, so he's basically pretty much suicidal. Danny Glover
He's mental, everybody.
Danny Glover is the family man cop, the guy that's getting fairly close to his retirement.
Yep.
He gets saddled with Mel Gibson's character. The two of them, eventually become friends. And
after a very awkward scene.
Yeah,
I was going to say you don't even mention their introduction to each other.
Yeah,
it's one of the best. Yeah, it's one of the best scenes in the film where Danny Glover's character thinks Mel Gibson is a crook. He thinks he's a criminal. And he pulls out his gun, and then of course Danny Glover's like, "Hey, gun!" And he goes to try to stop him, and then Mel Gibson basically beats the crap out of him.
No, it's not even that bit. What is the best bit is Danny Glover's on the ground, and Mel Gibson's got his gun pointed at him.
Head, yeah.
And if you look in his eyes, he is like away from pulling the trigger.
Yeah,
because he is that unbalanced.
Yeah.
And that sets up Mel Gibson's character perfectly.
Yeah.
For the way, again, it's not explained with words or flashbacks.
Yeah. It's
just the acting of, Mel Gibson explains, it sells that whole fact that he's
unstable.
He's unstable, and he's all in his mind. He's in the middle of a police station. He knows he's a cop. And he's halfway to pulling the trigger because the guy attacked him.
Yeah, it's them playing off of each other is just one of the things that makes this amazing.
Yes, big time.
But it's such a good, and it's also one of those films where it didn't need they're trying to save the world thing. It was a very intimate story. It was basically about drug smuggling, a drug smuggling operation that had been going on since Vietnam. So it's it's very much a cop problem in a time.
And it was all spurred on by a hooker ODing and jumping off of a balcony.
Which is well, I shouldn't say it's a cool scene. It's one of the most interesting scenes that, because again, this was back before this kind of stuff was normal. You didn't see stuff like this, but she literally, like, the film starts off with a bang. It's like, she just gets up, walks to the balcony, and just jumps off.
Yeah. And they actually have the long shot of her falling down. They actually have the long shot of her falling down.
Yeah, you're just like, what the hell just happened?
Right.
Yeah.
I want to welcome Johnny Cage to the chat too.
What's up, dude?
An orc is an orc, of course. And Johnny, I am everywhere. You will not get rid of me. I am living rent free in your head right now.
Yeah, hit that like and subscribe, guys. Share it out in your social media.
Yes, do it. Do it.
I always forget to plug myself though.
I want to get Dave up to 100 subscribers. Well, I want to help Dave get up to 100 subscribers by 2025.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah. But that's my number 2. Great movie, and still holds up today.
Damn right.
Yep,
Right.
yep.
Okay, my number 2. Need to just prep for a little bit of kickback for this. Lethal Weapon 4.
Oh,
Really?
whoa,
Okay.
we're going deep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now, there are admittedly problems with this movie. Okay, I'm not going to lie, there are some problems with this movie. But one of the reasons, by the way, synopsis, it's Riggs and Murtaugh, one last time. They're about to be parents, grandparents, Riggs is about to be a parent, if I remember correctly.
Yep, he's about to have
and
a kid.
Murtaugh is about to be a grandparent as well, and he doesn't know that Chris Rock is actually the baby daddy of his grandson or granddaughter, But anyway, there was some there was some family issue stuff, and certain little bits went a bit too silly for me. Like what was it? The lawyer. If you get Johnny Cochran, Johnny Cochran,
or the
Johnny Cochran.
The scene in the dentist's office.
Oh yeah. Where they all get
bloody marvelous.
Yeah, bloody marvelous.
Bloody marvelous.
My girlfriend, she loved this. Oh, really? What's it? I hope my wife don't find out about this.
Yeah, dude. You want to talk about some stereotype stuff?
Yeah.
There you go.
That's why I'm doing the voices.
Yeah.
The really bad impersonations, because there was some stereotypical stuff about this. But one of the reasons I give it props, it brought Jet Li into the Hollywood mainstream.
Yeah, as something that he has never done before, but actually, like, some of his best work as a villain.
Yes.
Yeah.
But actually, he's also been a great villain in War.
Yeah, he was. Well, as I say, this was the first film that did that, though. It took him, it made him a villain, and then he started doing more villain roles, like he did the One.
Yeah,
where he's a great villain in that.
But he's
War.
But the One, he's the hero as well.
True, but just the idea that he's playing the bad guy.
Yeah, but War came about because of the One.
The ancient.
Yeah,
I believe I explained this story to you before. I believe I explained this to you guys before.
Yeah,
because War is Jason Statham and Jet Li.
Yep,
and it all came about because Jason Statham trained from what I've heard for like 9 months in martial arts. This is just when he was getting into his action role, the cranks and all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were supposed to have a massive fight scene, like a 10-minute fight scene between Jet Li and Jason Statham.
Mm-hmm.
And the budget, the budget got shrunk, so they couldn't do it. So in the One, that whole fight scene degenerated into the train station where Jet Li just walks up behind him and hangs Jason Statham over the balcony and talks to him. Mm. And because they didn't get to do what they wanted to do with that, as in Statham and Jet Li, they managed to get the funding together to do a film do the film War, where they could actually go up against each other, like they originally wanted to do. So
yeah, it's unfortunate that Hollywood steps in and does stuff like that.
yeah, but we got War out of it, which is fun.
Yeah, and we got. I'm telling you what, the fight scene in this is great.
Oh yeah, oh god, yeah. But this is what I'm saying, and there is another big reason why Lethal Weapon 4. I mean, this could be removed from the list, depending on Hollywood rumors. But one of the second massive reason why Lethal Weapon 4 is my number 2 pick is because of the end credits scenes. The end credits, where you have the whole plethora of all the set photos and behind the scenes photos and images of the crew having worked together over the space of, I mean, what was it between Lethal Weapon 1 and Lethal Weapon 4? What was it?
I think it was
20.
It's like 20 years.
20 years, yeah. So we go 20 years, and you have all the pictures of of them interacting over the course of 20 years together, not just as a crew but as friends, and you get what I mean. It just brought that humanizing effect to the whole thing, and to me, it was the perfect way to end out a franchise, because it's going, yes, we know this is fantasy, we know we're making fictional movies here, but this is how we interacted over the course of these 20 years. From Lethal Weapon 1, and it was the best one of the best credit scenes I've ever fucking seen, just because they had all that shit. You had you had Lethal Weapon 1, Lethal Weapon 2, Lethal Weapon behind the scenes shit where the cast and crew were sitting around talking all the way, and it just showed the bond that they had as, I hate to use the word family because I'm not Dom. Yeah. But the bond they had together.
And but it was 12 years. But the other thing too was, this was one of those franchises where if you were in the first one, you were playing the same character in the last one. Like the guy who plays the captain, I can't remember his name now. He's still in the first one. The woman who plays the psychologist, she's in the fourth one. Joe Pesci's character.
She's had a breakdown by the fourth one.
Joe Pesci, who was supposed to be a throwaway character, but was so popular, they're like, okay, well, he's now part of the family. Let's go.
No, he kind of annoyed me, especially when him and Chris Rock started going on about the phone company thing and all the rest of it.
Yeah, they were to be honest, Joe Pesci and Chris Rock's characters in the fourth movie were probably the weakest part of it.
Oh yeah.
But I'm gonna tell you what, that fight scene at the end between Jet Li, Mel Gibson, Martaw and Riggs, man. Yeah. When Martaw just looks and goes, he's like, and then Riggs is like, hey, he took my gun apart. He's like, how the hell did he do that? And then and Riggs and then Martaw just realizing like, this fight's gonna happen no matter what.
Yeah, we're fucked.
And he goes, hey, let's go ask him.
Yeah.
But man, and just like, I love the fact that like they put over Jet Li's character as just being this absolute badass, because for the first time it takes both of them to beat this dude.
Yeah. They've always had their individual fight, and again, this going back to the good points is, beforehand they've had their 1v1s near the end or whatever. What was it? Lethal Weapon 2, diplomatic immunity.
Yeah, diplomatic immunity.
Bang! Just been revoked.
Yeah, and it's always been Riggs
solo
is the badass. Riggs is the bad guy, But in this one, it's like it's that they take it up to the next level, which is it takes.
And they also they play with the fact they are getting on in age as well, like the fight, the
sparring match.
The sparring match. Where it's like, oh no, my shoulder. It's all rude and all the rest of it. He's like, oh fuck no, my shoulder's fine. I was just getting killed by that guy.
And then Murtaugh's reaction is like, he's like, finally.
Finally you're getting on.
You know what it feels like to be me. It's Lethal Weapon 4 is a fun movie, man. It was, like I said, it wasn't on my top 5, but again, Richard Donner doesn't make terrible films.
No, but like I say, one of the reasons I put it at number 2 is introduction of Jet Li.
Yeah,
the perfect end to a franchise. in my opinion.
Yeah.
By
I'm
admitting,
glad
yes,
they never did another one.
well, there is still the rumors.
Yeah,
But no, it's not going
I
to
doubt they'll
happen.
make it without Richard Donner.
Yeah,
I hope not.
I really don't think that they'll do that. I don't think Mel Gibson wants to do it without him.
No, no, that's my hope as well. But you know, the Jet Li, the perfect end to the franchise. There were some fun moments as well because they weren't just the heroes; they were admitting as well, "I'm fucked. I'm old."
Yeah,
You know, Jesus Christ, life is catching up to me.
yeah. The passage of time is real.
Yeah, and it just everything about that film just said something. Even though there was the crappy bits, which we all can admit, it wasn't a perfect movie, but it was just a good a great movie. So that is my number 2 pick.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to disappoint you all because clearly the greatest part, number 2 pick, should be Lethal Weapon 2, and that'll be my pick.
I ain't mad at you.
I can live with that.
This is the one I watched before any of the other ones, so this is kind of was my introductory as a kid into the world, and that whole situation where the guy's got it's like the scene with the tarp. Or the plastic wrap on the ground, and the guy's like later comes in and like, oh, so what are you looking at? The evil bad guy talks to his henchman, and sort of like, what are you looking at? And he's like, well, I'm checking to see if there's any plastic on the ground, sir.
Was that Byron James? Wasn't it? Was that Byron James from Still Dawn and Tango and Cash?
I don't remember. I don't know. But dude, and it starts, and again, that's something about these Lethal Weapon films. They always start off in just a completely like unexpected scenario with Murtaugh on the toilet about to be blown up. He's like, Riggs, am I going to die on the toilet, man? You're not the kind of guy that dies on toilets.
The whole situation with the nail gun action scene where the guy's this should be my lethal weapon, Jesus.
And then like him finding like, are you on the take? And he goes, no. It's like because his wife was writing those books under a pen name. And he goes, no, my wife is. He's like, you're boinking her. And he goes, no, Leanne is. And he goes, you are boinking her. He goes,
yeah. And he gets the grief for it as well.
Yeah. And then and then of course that scene everybody had was crying from MythBusters to prove whether it was true or not with the surfboard going through the windshield. Again, it was a fun movie, man. And just and like I said, diplomatic immunity. It's been revoked.
And you also had Patsy Kensit getting a kit off. Oh no, that happened in every movie she was in.
Yeah,
man, she was hot.
And now she's in a British soap opera.
Yeah. And also, we got the introduction to Joe Pesci's character, Leo Getz.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or when and the whole
Anything you want, Leo gets.
Leo Getz.
And the whole thing with the South Africa, where what's his name? Riggs has to go into the South African embassy and says, "I want to be I want to move to South Africa." And he's like, "But you're black."
Yes, but you're black.
It's like, then he gets to the point where he's like, "Yes, I want to be with all my African brothers and sisters and all the rest of it, just as a distraction."
Yeah, I love. And then of course there's the whole thing. This is where they introduced the whole Three Stooges thing. And like the meaty, mighty, hey Mo, and he shoots the friggin' the aquarium with all the guy's special fish. It's like pick them up with your hands. Pick them.
Yeah. No, don't do that. You'll kill them.
Another great set piece thing with the house sliding down the hill and everything. But no, Lethal Weapon 2 is a great movie, man.
Yeah. I'm not going to argue with Lethal Weapon 2.
Yep. How do you escape from that chamber? And then, of course, they drive a car through it.
It's just again, this is Riggs being the friggin' blunt instrument. He's like, I'm just gonna break everything.
Yeah, fuck it.
But not a bad pick, man. Not a bad pick at all.
Not a bad pick.
All right, my number one.
Bum, bum, bum.
You guys, you know what I'm gonna say. You know what I'm gonna say. Good enough for me. It's good enough. The Goonies.
Yeah, I knew it.
I'm telling you, if you were a child of the 80s and I was, like I said, this was your anthem. One of the greatest fantasy films of all time. One of, in my personal opinion, one of Steven Spielberg's best films of all time. One of my 10 favorite films of all time. I absolutely love this movie. I must have seen this thing 5 times in the theater.
Oh, wow.
It was, dude. Like I said, man, it was part of that golden era. That,
gotcha.
That period of time when there were so many movies that either launched franchises that lasted decades, or were just ingrained into your soul.
Super one shots.
Great film, and yeah, we already, we're not gonna rehash everything we already talked about. We spent half an hour talking about this movie.
Well, we didn't talk about the Truffle Shuffle or the Babe Ruths.
The Baby Ruth. Yeah, probably one of the greatest pieces of product placement
of all time.
Completely friggin' organic.
Yeah,
completely organic. It's like and that actually, like they said that when that from this movie, the sale of Baby Ruth just went through the roof.
Right.
So,
but it wasn't forced.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably one of the most innocuous pieces of product placement, but it absolutely was so recognizable, and they just went completely nuts, man. But yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, I had to see. Yeah, and then Chunk had. Sloth had the Superman T-shirt, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And yeah, I mean, and everybody was like, "I'm a Goonie." So yeah, if you, like I said, if you were a child of that era, it's one of those films, like, it has so much heart to it, man. A lot of films today, they just feel
paint by numbers.
Like I said, they're just sterilized.
Yeah,
that film was just pure,
made by committee.
That film was a film made with love. So
yeah,
great film. My number one, Richard Donner's film. Thank you very much for this film, Richard Donner.
Okay,
The Goonies.
Rest in peace.
Okay, Kev.
All right, my number one pick. Oh, before I do that, I need to give a couple of honourable mentions here.
Yeah, you go.
One honourable mention was actually Lady Hawk. Okay.
Yep.
But I just felt it didn't reach the list because it was the soundtrack fucking killed it for me.
Yeah.
Another one was Assassins.
Yeah, I was going to mention that as an honorable mention, but I'm glad you brought it up.
That's a guilty pleasure movie for me.
Yeah,
man.
it's a good movie. Antonio Banderas, Sylvester Stallone, but it just felt too much like a rehash of The Mechanic.
Yeah.
Before Jason Statham remade The Mechanic, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, it has.
Sylvester Stallone also made that other movie around the same time with James Woods as the bad guy.
Yeah, the one where they were the explosive
Specialist.
Specialist. Yeah.
But with Sharon Stone.
Yeah.
And him and her have nookie in what I can only describe as the biggest fucking shower on the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
Shower is bigger than that shower they have sex in is bigger than my house.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Assassins has that great scene though where he goes into the bank to get the money.
Yeah.
And he knows that Antonio Banderas' character is outside waiting for him, and he just sits in there.
Yeah,
he just for 10 minutes you see Antonio Banderas just start to lose his freaking mind.
He's like, "Why's he not there?
Did I miss him?" Water on himself.
Yeah,
and then he
starts freaking out, going, "Did I miss him? Did he come out when I blinked or something?" You know, he starts freaking out all the time.
And then he finally just like, screw it, and he goes inside and he sees him. He's like, "You son of a bitch!" and so Stallone's just sitting there with his arm, and he's like, "Damn, you broke
you
my
remember
record."
who the love interest is in that movie?
I'm trying to remember. Is it
Julianne Moore?
Is it really?
Oh
yeah, it was like, wow. It's like, I'm not so used to youth as the hot chick, but I do remember this. I was watching the trailer earlier today, just getting, and it was like, oh wow,
what the hell was it really?
Oh, Julianne
oh shit!
Moore.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh
damn. I don't even know what to say to that.
Yeah. It was
and again, another thing with Donner reusing people that he's worked with before.
Yeah.
Two people that he's worked with before in other films. Steve Kahn, who played the police chief in all the Lethal Weapon films.
Yep.
And Muse Watson, the guy who played the guy that was Sylvester Stallone's mentor, the guy that he supposedly killed, but it ended up he was like the mastermind of the whole thing. He's worked with Richard Donner before too. So again, like I said, as a lot of directors are wont to do, they once you're a friend with, once you win one of the films and you're a friend, you've got a job for life.
Dude, it's a crew mentality thing. I might have a little bit of experience in this field.
Yeah.
And Will Morris, you're right. The Assassins was written by the Wachowskis.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it is once you prove yourself to be reliable and dependable, you get preferential treatment because the people who are putting the money up know they're going to get something from you. You know what I mean? It's like, right, we know if we get this person, X person, we employ X person, then they're going to give it to us. They're not just going to come and phone it in like, as we said earlier, Bruce Willis did after 2010. Well, but yeah, so Assassins was an honorable mention. And one last honorable mention, and there is a reason for this. Banana Splits. He directed, I believe, 4 episodes of the Banana Splits.
I love that show. I love that freaking show, dude. That was one of my favorite shows as a kid.
And the main reason I'm giving an honorable mention to the Banana Splits is they did a movie in 2019, the Banana Splits movie. Did you guys know it was there? It exists?
No,
Yeah, I never watched it though because I had no.
Dude, it's the Banana right. For those of you who don't know, by the way, I'll get to my number one.
Was it a horror film?
Yeah, I'm going to give you the quick synopsis of the Banana Splits film before I get to my actual number one pick. Banana Splits was a cheesy kids TV show. Bunch of people in outfits, really silly. The IP has been dead for 30 years, 35 years. They did a movie of it in 2019, and they did basically it was the Banana Splits meets Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah,
and it's fucking better than a lot of people think. They seem to, the Banana Splits in the movie, they seem to feel like they know what they're doing. They know it's kind of schlock, and they kind of embrace it. It's well worth a watch. It is silly, fun, horror, death, blood, and guts and shit. But it's what if your childhood memories go bad, shall we say?
Yeah.
But those are my honorable mentions.
Okay.
Cool.
So my number one pick is actually Lethal Weapon 1.
Yes.
Because
see, you two are a man of culture.
Because as we've already discussed, this started or co-create, shall we say, an entire genre. It brought so many different elements to filmmaking which had never been done before.
Yeah.
And direction. And it we've talked about it already, but I'm trying to put into words how I feel about this movie. Oh no, I've got it. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, there's a reason why that movie was like it was genre defining.
Yeah. I mean, it's just everything you want. There's personally, I don't care about the family ties thing, but it's got the emotional family bit of it. The outsider looking for a way in, not even realizing he needs a way in because he's so self-destructive. Yep. It's got the action, it's got the suspense, the drama, and like we said, it starts off in a way that no movie really had ever fucking started off before. You're 2 minutes into the movie and you're just sitting there with your jaw on the floor at the time going, what the hell did I just see?
Mm-hmm.
Is this for real? So my number one pick has to be Lethal Weapon 1. I mean, there's no way I couldn't put Lethal Weapon 4 as my second place pick and not pick the film that started it all as my number one.
Yeah.
Okay, so at the beginning of this, we were talking about how Mel Gibson and Richard Donner did a bunch of movies, and someone mentioned a movie that Bob said he didn't know the sixth movie, and that sixth movie happens to be my number one movie, and I'm surprised no one else has mentioned it, and that would be Maverick.
There you go.
With James Garner and Mel Gibson, and it's a throwback to the TV show that James Garner starred back in the 1960s. And it has so many people. Jodie Foster's in this movie, Graham Greene, Alfred Molina, James Coburn.
James Coburn's awesome in this movie.
Yeah. No, see, I'm going to stop you right there. You have forgotten Danny Glover is in this.
Danny Glover.
He's the bank robber. He's a cameo as a bank robber, and they pull each other's masks
Lethal
down.
Weapon joke.
Yeah. And they just look at each other and go,
like, I'm getting too old for this shit.
I'm getting too old for shit. Nah. And they crawl off in different directions.
Yeah. There are so many freaking we were talking about this, I think it was either you and me or somebody else. There are so many cameos from classic Western stars, from country music stars. Clint Black has a cameo in this thing. Denver Kyle has a cameo in this thing. Yeah. Freaking James, like you said, James Coburn's in it. James Garner, Graham Greene.
Graham Greene
is awesome in this movie, dude. Man, it's a great film. It almost made my top 5.
Yeah, no, for me, it is my number one. I love these kind of, like, I'm a big Western fan. I do love this thing, and it's just sort of like the gambler trope of this guy who's always doing these con artist jobs, and Jodie Foster is so hot as the girl.
Oh, yeah.
I have a girlfriend who reminds me a lot of this. Sometimes girlfriend who reminds me a lot of Jodie Foster's character in this movie. So, very much.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
I love the way he says sometimes, though. Sometimes he gets a punch
exactly
up.
it. It's sort of like every time we get in a relationship, something comes along, like, I don't know, the COVID disaster.
But no, man, it's a great. Like I said, the guy just doesn't make bad movies.
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean, like we discussed at the beginning of the show, if you just joined us and you don't know what we discussed at the beginning, then fucking shame on you. Go back and watch this whole thing when it's uploaded. But he almost felt like he was blackballed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what we were talking about.
Yeah, there was a period of time where he didn't do a whole lot, but then all of a sudden he just like surged.
Mm-hmm. I remember watching him. I was watching an old TV show called Canon from the 1970s. Yeah. And what happened is I got a friend of mine at the time had been working at like CBS's production office. So she gave me a bunch of DVDs that were there. So I had the Canon. And the first episode of this particular season was so well done. And I went back and I'm looking like, why is this show so amazing? And it's Richard Donner, back when he was still directing TVs. And one of the most spectacular shots in the entire movie is there's this dead body that's lying on the ground, and a camera shot goes up all the way up a building, and it gets wider and wider and wider. And I'm like, who does that in a TV show? And of course, Richard Donner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the guy's his eye for camera work was awesome. Mm-hmm. He was amazing.
Shall we say a pioneer?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It'll be funny. You look at, I don't know, Michael Bay nowadays.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh God.
Right.
Michael Bay is not exactly the best movie director of all time.
No, but if you look at a lot of his camera angles, the way he shots, the way he shoots things, a lot of that can be also attributed to Donner from the way he's done it in the past. And Michael Bay's kind of, there was the low angles, the high angles, the and you just think Donner done it before, but he done it better, and he didn't put half a ton of Semtex
explosion
in the shot at the same time.
We need something. We need to have something blow up here.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Bay's done some good movies. Okay, The Rock is fantastic.
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with Michael Bay.
13 hours.
He doesn't call you every week.
I really love 13 Hours, and I'm like, how did you made all those awful Transformer movies, and then you pull off something like 13 Hours? It sort of like shows you can, like, when you really want to apply yourself, you can do something good.
Yeah,
but you don't want to.
That's
No,
those
no, no,
movies
no,
are him
no,
just
Dave,
basically
Dave, I'll explain this
orgasming
to
on
you
the
very
screen.
quickly. It goes 13 Hours, great.
Mm.
Explosions, money. Big boom, big bucks.
I don't like the guy.
Yeah, look, Pearl Harbor's kind of an unforgivable sin for
Pearl
me.
Harbor sucks. I'm not quoting Team America there at all.
If I had not been in a jam-packed theater, I probably would have walked out of that.
I'll put it this way: I dislike him so much that when I went and saw the original Quiet Place, the first film, which I really liked that film, I saw that he was the producer on it, and I literally out loud went, "Oh, son of a bitch!" I was like, and then I said, "F that guy." And my friend, like, literally almost fell to the ground laughing. So, yeah, that's my feelings on Michael Bay.
Yeah,
but yeah, that's our list, guys. Great list, man. Like I said, man had an amazing career.
Yes,
and it's made some of the best movies, best movies in any genre.
I wouldn't say best movies, most influential.
Oh, dude, no, man. Friggin' Goonies is one of the best movies of all time.
No. But I'm saying it's better to be have an influential movie to be to a best movie. Mm-hmm. Oh, the best movie this year is whatever the fucking Oscar nominates.
Yeah.
The film that's most influential resonates 20, 30, 40 years down the line.
Yeah.
Right.
He made films that people love to this day.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. So the best movies can be absolute garbage 2 years down the line.
Yeah.
He made influential movies.
Yep. And like Matthew Corbin just said, thank you, Richard Donner. Absolutely.
Yes. Right. Anybody in the chat got any films we missed?
Somebody mentioned
Timeline.
Well, somebody did mention Timeline, but I think they meant it as a joke. But no, they were pretty much repeating the stuff that we said. But great stuff. Mm-hmm. So what are we gonna do next, guys? We had a couple people make some suggestions.
I was thinking of. I did mention this to Kev as one, and I think it might be not too bad. Best Wesley Snipes movies that aren't Blade.
Okay, we could do that. That's a good one. Someone actually had one that's kind of interesting. Top 5 Corey Feldman movies. They said top 5 Corey Feldman movies that wasn't was it Dream a Little Dream? But I said top 5 Corey Feldman movies that aren't Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Oh, god damn it.
That would require me to watch some Corey Feldman movies. I'm not too sure.
That's what I was thinking as well. Lost Boys.
You think about it. You think about in the back in the day, he was in a lot of stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to go through all of them, but I'm looking at like at least a half a dozen movies, and I'm like, okay, yeah, we could do this, dude. But what about something that ties into Richard Donner?
Well, we could. You know what? We could do the top 5 buddy cop movies of the '90s that aren't Lethal Weapon.
That aren't Lethal Weapon. Okay.
So, sorry, '80s and '90s. The two movies are in that.
Yeah, I was going to say you're going to have to give
10-year period.
Yeah.
And you can do the top 5 buddy movies of that time period. So I'd like to hear someone else's.
I know at least 2.
I got 3 in my head right now.
Yeah, I'm trying not to duplicate in series because I know what 2 of yours are.
Yeah, probably.
So I'm trying not to duplicate in a series there with that one. Yeah, well, I'm happy to discuss whatever because without trying to sound too Austin Powers, 80s and 90s movies are my jam, baby.
I know. This is, for the most part, that's why this particular show exists, to talk about movies from the time period. Like,
what you mean? Because we chat shit about these movies for hours on end off camera, as it were. So we thought we might as well just inflict our OCDs on the general public as well.
But,
does that sound about right?
Yeah,
sounds about the exact purpose of this particular show.
But to anybody who watched the video and to guys in the chat, once the video posts, drop in the leave a comment and tell us what you guys think we should do. What list you guys think we should do. But
Exactly.
I'm it's like not we're ever going to run out of friggin' ideas.
Right. Oh God, no.
But awesome.
Yeah.
So what we thinking? Buddy cop movies from the 80s and 90s.
Well, we don't want to talk about it now, man. We want to talk about
No,
it.
no, no. I'm not
Yeah.
about ideas. I'm just saying we're going with that one. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's the one we're going with. Top
Cool.
5 of the 80s and 90s. Okay.
Oh,
Sweet.
yeah. Oh, I can pull a couple of swingers out of that.
Oh,
Yeah, same here.
I got a whole bunch of them in my head, man.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Well, anyways, I think that's it for us today, guys. We'll be seeing you in 2 weeks' time on this channel. Tune in for more. If you like this, like, share, and drop a comment in the below.
Subscribe. Subscribe.
Subscribe.
Bye-bye.